Hello and welcome to today's episode of Tech Logic. On today's episode, we'll be looking at some of the latest and greatest products on the market. After that, we'll be putting them in a system and seeing how they perform. There we have 6 RAM sockets. That means we could run 6 RAM modules. We'll be running 3 RAM modules in tri-channel. This board does support tri-channel. It can support a maximum of 24 gigabytes. This board also has MemOK. A lot of the more modern ASUS boards come with that. We'll turn around to the front of the board so you can see these. What this one comes with is 8-channel sound, including a mic input, the USB 3.0, USB 2.0, USB 1.0, one of the more classic mouse and keyboard connections, and then you've also got a LAN connection just there, onboard LAN. Aside from that, you've also got your 2 X16 Express sockets for your graphics card. Turning the board around now, you can also see here that here are the SATA ports. You've got 2 6 gigabyte SATAs, and you've got I believe there's 6 there of the old 3 gigabyte SATAs. This board does actually have RAID support, RAID 0 for the 6 gigabyte. If you want to use that, we'll be using 1 terabyte hard drive, so there isn't too much need to use the RAID. But it is always nice to know it's there. Alright, on this board you've also got some nice looking heat sinks. I like the sort of greeny gold look with the black, that's looking nice. Give you a better look at those. So that should keep the board nice and cool even if we do decide to overclock. This is a 1 gigabyte GDDR5 card. Supports DirectX 11 of course. That is a very nice looking card indeed. It's got the black heatsink, or black cover, with silver. That's fairly unique, I haven't seen something like this. We'll look at some of the features of it. Looking at the front, we've got 2 DVI ports for the DVI. We've got an HDMI and 2 mini display ports. So that's pretty good. We'll look at the back of the card now, see what power connections it has. Despite not being a too power hungry card, it does have the 2 6-pins. Alright, looking under the cover, we see the heatsink under there, if the camera can get in. You'll see the copper heat pipes, and that's a substantial amount of copper under there. You'll also see if you go in the fan, you might be able to get a glimpse at the heatsink under there. So that's a fairly substantial heatsink, should run nice and cool. We might do some overclocking on that. Alright, I don't know about you, but one of my favourite parts of a PC is RAM. So I always like to get stuck into this. We have here for this system, we have the Patriot Viper Extreme. That's DDR3 RAM, it's also tri-channel RAM. This particular one is a kit. It's 3 times 2 gigabytes, so 6 gigabytes of RAM all up. It's 1600 megahertz RAM, but it's actually can be overclocked to 2000 megahertz. So we might do that. We'll see how the system runs, and we might do some overclocking. Let's get stuck into this. Alright, in this packet, looks like we have a second packet. Here we are. We'll get into that as well, so you can have a close look at this RAM. Now I do like that. Look at that. We have here a black heatsink on the RAM with a copper heatsink inside. It's looks like a fair bit of copper in there. So again, that's really good for getting the heat out of there and keeping the RAM cool. Which is good because this is fast RAM, you know, it does heat up, especially when you overclock it, so it'll be good to know that it's got that on there. Stay cool. And I am looking forward to seeing how that goes. We'll run some tests on it, and we'll show you the results of those later in this episode. 3.06 GHz CPU, so that's pretty fast for a quad core. It's got pretty good cache sizes. It's a good CPU. I've used these in the past and they are fast CPUs. It's got a nice little box there where you can see through the case into the CPU, which is always nice. Let's get into the actual product itself and take a look. Now this, as do all processors, come with both a manual and a heatsink. We won't be using that heatsink and fan. Why? We like to get something a little better. That doesn't really do the job for what you'll be wanting to use your PC for. So we've gone for a water cooling system, you'll see later. Here is the processor itself. Nicely packed in the packaging. This is the processor. Alright, this is a Corsair cooler. For those of you who know me, I really do like Corsair. They're a very reliable brand name. This here is the Corsair H70 High Performance Hydro CPU cooler. Yes, it is a water cooling system. If we get in here and look at the package, you'll see it's designed for a number of socket types, including the one obviously we're using, which is the 1366. It works for 775 and obviously the 1156 socket. So it's sort of a universal cooler. We'll get into it and have a look. Looking at this straight off the bat, we've got two fans here. So there's another one here. Have a look at those. They're decent sized fans. They're pretty good. And we've got two of them. Here is the radiator itself. So that there, I'll get the plate out as well. That there is the radiator. That mounts on the side of the case there. Cools all the liquid. There is the business end. The plate that sits on your CPU. Make sure no heat stays around. As well as that, we do get some manuals. Always nice to know that you've got the manuals, the instruction kits. Alright, let's get this back in the box and move on. Alright, here we have the Corsair TX 850 watt power supply. This again is a Corsair product, and as I said before, Corsair is one of my favourite brands, if not my favourite brand. They're very reliable. This particular PSU comes with a 5-year warranty, similar to the motherboard. That means that, again, quality is guaranteed with this product. This isn't a modular PSU, we decided to go for this one anyway. We do like Corsair, and the other option was Cooler Master. In the end we decided Corsair was better despite not being modular. Here is the PSU, if I don't lose bits. It's in a nice velvety bag, which is very fashionable. That's nice. Of course I'll get that bag open for you. You can have a look at the actual PSU itself. Here it is, the TX H50 watt power supply. So 850 watts, plenty of connections there. We'll hide some of these under the case, the ones we're not using, so you won't see all those hanging about despite it not being modular. We won't just leave them sitting about in the case for you. Comes with a new power cable, always useful. And it's a nice looking PSU. And the back, it's always a nice feature of these PSUs. It's got that heaps. It's got little holes in the back, helps stay cool, as well as looking pretty insane. This is one of the nicest cases. It's the Cooler Master 932 HAF high airflow full tower case. Looking at the box, you can get an idea of what it's going to look like when we do eventually fire it up. It's got the red LED fans, which always leaves an impression. It's a fairly big case. It's certainly going to have enough room in it for all our needs. It actually has three 240mm fans. You've got one on the front there. You've got you've got one on the front and you've got one on the top, and they're all 240mm fans, so that is a fair bit of fan power. You've also got another fan on the back, that's a slightly smaller fan. Then on the front you've also got this nice window on the side to look in, see the hardware you've got in there. That's a very nice looking window, it's not just a clear window. Fan on the front, as I mentioned before, is a red LED fan, so that will look impressive. I'll turn it around so you can have a look at that front. It's mostly made up of non-solid material. By that I mean it's mostly this. It's got holes so air can easily flow through. Great airflow in this case. It's also got a front panel. So as well as the motherboard that we showed you before, having USB, you also have extra USB here. You actually have another SATA port there. It's an eSATA port. You have a mic and you have a headphone port. And as well as that, you have the LEDs.